everyone, I'm Ari, but sadly not with Rachel as she couldn't make it today, unfortunately. So it's just me as the host of the Merry Writer podcast. This week we're on episode 310 asking, who is Jenna Moreci? Before we start, don't forget to visit and follow our coffee page where you can access lots of free goodies. If you're in a position to support us financially, you can become a Merry Writer for $2 a month and you get exclusive monthly content. Everything earned in coffee goes to keeping our show going and we appreciate the support. Okay, this week we're getting to know Jenna Moreci. Jenna is a dark fantasy romance author who also runs a very successful YouTube channel. The first installment of her dark fantasy romance series, The Saviour's Champion, which was voted as one of the best books of all time on Book Depository. The latest installment, Book 3, which is titled The Saviour's Army, is available for pre-order and will be coming out very soon. Okay, Jenna, thank you so much for joining us. Well, for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Oh, that was so sweet of you to say. Wait till you've been on here long enough and then you're like, so what drew you to the dark fantasy romance genre?
Well, I've been obsessed with fantasy romance ever since I was a little kid. Growing up, my dad got me addicted to a lot of really old school fantasy romance movies like The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, Jason and the Argonauts, Clash of the Titans, all the classics. And ever since then, I was hooked. That was the kind of story that I wanted to tell. I was writing stories about heroes and heroines, battling monsters and falling in love when I was a little kid. And then it just apparently I never grew up because I just kept doing it as an adult. And the dark element was just sort of, I guess, because I couldn't stop writing about violence and bloodshed and torture. And that was kind of a surprise. It wasn't until I enlisted beta readers and critique partners, and they were like, "Oh wow, like you really nailed the dark fantasy element of this." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't even realize I was writing dark fantasy. I thought everyone just gets, all books feature decapitations and things like that." So that was just, I guess, because I have a sick and twisted mind and I've just got to kill off a bunch of characters willy nilly.
No, I get that. That's I think we need some of that. I think, especially if you grew up with all the like the Hallmark movies and the Mills and Boone romance. It's like sometimes you want something a little bit darker, a little bit more gritty. So
Right,
yeah.
right. And I like the darkness outside of the relationship. I like for the fantasy world they live in to be dark, but then I want the snuggly, cuddly romance element to be within the relationship. So I like
Oh.
for the couple to be like very sweet and wonderful to each other, but then outside the relationship it's just like like fighting, torture, bloodshed, all that good stuff.
Oh, that's kind of sweet though, because it's kind of like, it's like how no matter how dark the world gets, it's like there's this little bit of light with the couple. It's kind of sweet.
Exactly.
Oh.
Exactly.
Okay, so have you developed any strategies for balancing writing and personal life?
No.
Wait,
And if
why?
anyone yeah, if anyone has strategies, feel free to share with me. No, not really. I mean, it's a little bit different, I guess, because writing is my full-time job. So, if I spend 40 hours a week, working on bookish stuff, then that's considered normal. I'm also a caregiver. My husband is disabled and he has a chronic pain condition called CRPS. So if I'm not writing, I'm usually, like taking him to doctor appointments or speaking to medical professionals and things like that. And honestly, writing is my favorite thing to do. So I'm one of those people where I can be a little bit of a workaholic, and I'm one of those people where Cliff, my husband, has to be like, "Jenna, put the laptop down, just watch some TV with me," because I really enjoy the writing and I enjoy a lot of the business elements of the writing industry as well. So no, I'm terrible at balancing things. I don't have a social life. I'm either writing or I'm hanging out with my guy and my dog.
Oh, that sounds good. That's totally the thing though. It's like I've never been into going out and doing bigger things. It's like massive introvert, so it's like in all the time.
Exactly. Yeah,
But
that's how I am. So for me, I'm living the dream, but other people are like, "Jenna, leave the house,
no one's
go."
seen you forever.
Right. And I'm like, "I'm fine with that."
No, I think that's it, especially with in a personal life where there's things that can happen and change quite quickly. It's like if you haven't got a normal routine in your life, it does get a bit like harder to create. That's what I'm saying with me, because I'm like, oh, my balanced
Mhm.
life is rubbish because there's things that crop up all the time, and it's not like, oh, my life is nice and neat. It's like, no, it's one big chaos with cats in the middle of it, and it's just there's no way to deal with it. That's how it
See,
is.
you get me. You get me because it's the same thing over here, except I've got a dog in the middle of it. So, yeah.
It's in your dog. It's very small. It could be classed as a cat.
Yes, I think most cats are bigger than my dog's. She's 7 pounds, so she's a little thing.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think my cats are are bigger than your dog. Okay, tell us about your YouTube channel and the impact it's had on your writing career.
Well, when I started my YouTube channel, my goal was 100 subscribers, and I was just giving it a shot because people told me, "Oh, you have the personality for YouTube. You'd be good at this." So I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a shot just to say that I did it." And like I said, my goal was 100 subscribers. Um, 280,000 subscribers later, I did not expect the channel to blow up. I did not expect it to get as popular as it has gotten, and it completely changed my life. It's the reason that I'm able to write as a full-time job because my channel is essentially not only free marketing for my books, but it's marketing I get paid for. So, I get paid to talk about my books on YouTube. Um, I think the only negative is I wasn't prepared for it. I didn't expect it to happen, and so it was very overwhelming when it first got started. There was a period of time where I didn't really like opening my laptop because it all the comments and all the alerts, it felt almost like paparazzi in my laptop.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird parasocial things to navigate, and there's a lot of creepy men on the internet who leave
Oh yeah.
awful comments and stuff. But ultimately it's been a godsend because after my very first novel, I was able to be writing full time, and that's not the norm. Normally it takes many novels before a writer can do this as their full-time job. So I'm very, very grateful, and I'm glad I started the YouTube channel when I did. I would like to one day just write and not have to do the YouTube thing because I'm getting older. And I just it's not always fun always having your face on the internet all the time. Like sometimes you just want to curl up with your writing and work on that. But I'm very grateful for what it's done for my career, the fact that it was able to launch my writing, the fact that I have this giant built-in audience where if I want to release a book, I could just upload a video and say, "Hey guys, I'm releasing a book," and there's automatic sales there. So there's definitely a lot of benefits to being on YouTube as an author. But again, most writers are introverts, so there are some downsides as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been following your YouTube channel from ages ago. I remember the first videos when you sat on a sofa and all that. And it's like, and you were talking about like self-publishing and everything. I remember that to where you've got to now, and like the setup you have is incredible. And it is amazing like how long you've been doing that and how
Mhm.
consistent you've been with the YouTube channel. I mean, it still boggles my mind how you manage to put out all these books, look after your husband, obviously run and manage all the other stuff in life and a house and everything and a dog, and then run a YouTube channel that looks so clean and professional and well done. And it's like, I mean, we do a podcast, so there's no video, so nobody has to look a
Mhm.
certain way. We don't have to worry about backgrounds or anything like that. And we do a a barely passing job of that. And that's just audio. So
Mhm.
the idea that you put all this effort in, you get all this as well. It's like, where do you get the time? Do you have a bag? Are you pulling time out of it? I don't know. It's surprising that you have all this ability to run all this because from the outside, it looks like you are doing an incredible job of managing
Thank
all the
you.
spinning plates. So we're sat here going, what is her fucking secret?
Thank you. I needed that. Well, I will say the secret is delegating. I've got video editors who are
Ah,
amazing. So I mean, obviously didn't have them at the beginning, but I have them now. I've got video editors. I've got a virtual assistant who helps me with all the pretty graphics you see on Instagram and things like that. I didn't make them. My virtual, assistant made them. I have house cleaners, so that's another thing that I don't have to deal with. I mean, I still do, the dishes and the laundry and stuff, but I don't have to worry about vacuuming my house. Someone else is doing that. So it's like, uh, for me, it was as my platform grew, it's like what, the money that I'm making, where can I put it, in a way that will allow me to have more time so that I can, write more books and make more money. And so it was all about delegating. And that's very hard for me to do because I'm a huge control freak. So like it took way longer than it should have for me to get a virtual assistant. It took way longer than it should have for me to get video editors, but now that I have them, I'm like, I can't live without you. Please never leave me. So yeah, it's just been a lot of delegating and being willing to sort of loosen the reins, but also I wish that I could write faster. I wish that I could release more books. And that's part of the reason why I'm like, well, one day I would like to ease off YouTube just so I could focus. Because ultimately, YouTube was a means to an end. It was to help other writers while also giving visibility to my work. And it would be nice to just be able to wake up in the morning, write, and then go to bed.
Yeah, no. I think, do you think you'd be okay with that? Like, if you, I understand like wanting to just do the writing because obviously that's the best part. But
Mhm.
do you think there'd be that little part of you that's like would struggle to let go of the YouTube because it's become such a big part of your life?
I think it's sort of yes, sort of no. There is a part of me that, being in a such a public position, there are so there are so many great aspects to it. There are people who, I get the most wonderful messages on a daily basis. Like, you've inspired me, thank you so much. You're my favorite author. You get a lot of outreach from people that make you realize, wow, like I've, done something positive here. I've made a difference. But then at the same time, I get the dumbest questions in my inbox. I have two stalkers, like there's
Oh,
yeah,
ouch.
yeah, and I don't think I would if I wasn't on YouTube. So there are negative elements where it's kind of like I think it would be bittersweet. There'd be a part of me that felt like this relief of like, okay, I don't have to, slop on all this makeup and get in front of a camera and be on, every other week. Um, there'd be a relief in that way, but then there'd be the sort of a little bit of distance from the audience that I appreciate and care about, like that element would be a little bit sad.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually quite interesting hearing that because obviously, especially as a woman, you know the sort of stuff that happens the moment you step a toe onto the internet, whether you put your
Yes.
face on there or not. And obviously, if you put your face on there, it's exponentially worse.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to hear that. It's like, yes, you have got this incredible platform. We see the fans on there. We see people rallying for when you were doing all the charities and everything. It's incredible. But yes, the fact that there is, you've got two stalkers. I don't, it's like nobody should have stalkers, especially not two of them. That's like
Yeah.
hugging all the stalkers apparently. So
Fortunately, they're in other countries, so I don't fear for my safety, but there are like one of them has been on like obsessed with me almost the entire time I've had YouTube. And I've been on YouTube for over a decade, so it's like
wow.
get a hobby. Holy crap. Like if they spent that much time writing their own books as they spend hating me, none of them are published, so obviously. But
Yeah.
if they put that time into something productive, they could have like amazing books out, but instead it's just they're
Look at that.
spending it on
Even
me.
with stalkers, you're being inspirationally saying, look, you could do this. Go do it, please.
Right. Seriously, are you okay? Like, come on now, but it is what it is.
Talking of inspiring and everything, what advice would you have for writers who are shy about promoting themselves? Especially because we're kind of pushed constantly with this idea that you have to be online, you have to be on social media, and you really have to show your face. Now, I know that's not a thing you have to do, but it is pushed very heavily. And if you're shy or introverted, it can be overwhelming to even think about promoting.
Yeah, I totally get that. People have been nagging me for it was either a year or 2 to get on YouTube, and I was just like, "Absolutely not. I do not wanna put my face on the internet. I do not wanna do that. I'm an introvert. That is just not something I was interested in." And then I did it, and it's the reason that I'm a full-time writer. Like, I there's no, there's no denying it. If I hadn't started the YouTube channel, maybe I would have been a full-time writer by now because I have 6 or so books out. But I was able to do it after my first novel. And I was making 6 figures after my third novel, you know?
Wow.
Um, it I guess, the advice I would give is that it's normal to feel shy, it's normal to be embarrassed. Everyone always thinks it's just them. Everyone's like, "You don't understand. I'm an introvert," and it's like, "So is half the world," you know? And everyone always thinks it's just them. So, like, a lot of the questions I get is like, "What if you doubt yourself?" And it's like, I've been a full-time author for a decade. I doubt myself all the time still. This is just comes with the job. Like being embarrassed to put yourself online and put yourself out there and promote yourself. It comes with the job. Doubting yourself, it comes with the job. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you how to make these things go away because they have not gone away for me in 10 years. They've gotten less extreme. When I first posted my very first YouTube video, I almost threw up. I was so nervous. Now I
Oh,
don't get nervous posting YouTube videos. I still will nitpick, and be like, "Oh no, my hair is out of place. Is someone going to make a comment?" So I guess I would just let people know that the way they're feeling is normal. And within reason, I would say try it anyway because and be willing to make mistakes. My first few videos, were terrible. But it doesn't matter because no one's really watching at the start. You give yourself room to grow, give yourself room to experiment, be willing to admit when something isn't working. And also be willing to admit if maybe this just isn't your platform.
mm.
I started blogging before I started YouTube, and I hated it. And I had to be willing to admit that I just don't like blogging. I want to try something else. So I tried YouTube, and it worked for me. I tried TikTok, and TikTok is technically easier than YouTube, but it was harder for me because I'm a long-winded person, and the short form just doesn't really sit well with me. So just be willing to experiment, try new things, be willing to admit when something isn't working for you, but at the same time, don't give up just because your first 3 videos are a flop. I mean, it took me about 6 months before my channel took off. So give yourself time, and like I said, understand that everyone feels this way. You're not alone in feeling like I feel like an idiot doing this. Like, well, yeah, the rest of us do too.
That's it. It's like you might be able to put off the confidence and everything, and people see it through the screen and they're like, "Wow, look how easy it looks." And it's like, no, no. I mean,
Hmm.
we've been doing the podcast for 5 years. I still hate listening to my voice when I'm editing. Not as bad as the beginning where it was like, I can't edit this because I physically can't listen to my voice. It's terrible.
Hmm.
I still did it, still edited it, but now it's so much easier. Still hate it, but it's almost like aversion therapy. You're in it so much, it's like, yeah, it's fine, you know.
Exactly. I'm not a fan of my voice either. And I narrated one of my audiobooks and everyone's like, "You've got the perfect voice for narration." And I'm like, "I'm glad someone thinks so because I don't like it." Um but yeah, you get used to it. And that's the thing. Like I said, the very first video I released, I thought I was going to throw up. I felt physically nauseated. I was so nervous. And now, like I said, I still have moments of doubt and nervousness, but I'm not throwing up every time I post a video. You get used to it. And there does come a time where you're like, I'll notice, a typo on the video, or I'll notice I said something wrong, and I'm just like, oh well, like who cares? Someone's gonna mention it in the comments because there's always that asshole. It's like, fine, they can be an asshole. That comment boosts the algorithm for me. It's fine. Maybe I should leave typos in more often just to get people
Yeah,
commenting.
get a bit of rage bait going. It's perfect.
Exactly.
No, I think that's it. I think so many people, especially new writers, especially when they're straight into it, and there is this push of like you have to be on all the platforms and you have to be out there fully doing everything and letting everyone know who you are, promoting the hell out of everything you're doing, even before you publish. You got to get out there, and it is overwhelming. But I think there is a need for some risk to
Hmm.
try and put yourself out there, and it is horrible if you're an introvert or a shy person. It's horrible. It's like standing in the middle of a stage with all the lights on you and everyone staring. But sometimes you kind of have to do it anyway.
Yeah. And I also like to remind people that not all of it has to be that way. There are authors who are just killing the game on Instagram and they're just posting pictures of books. They're never showing their face, and if they do show their face, it's like once every 4 months. So there are platforms you can, check out where you don't have to be so front facing. You don't have to be talking into a camera. But I would be willing to try at different platforms to see what works best for you and what works best for your audience. Because, like I said, I started off that way. I started blogging. No one ever saw my face, but I hated it. I didn't enjoy it. It was really time consuming, and my audience cap plateaued, and I wasn't getting anywhere. So I switched to YouTube, and I didn't want to put my face on the internet, but apparently my face on the internet helped, boost my platform. So sometimes you gotta give it a shot. And now I don't really mind being recorded. And it also prepared me for doing interviews and things like that. People be, telling me like, "Oh, is the camera okay? I hope you're not nervous." I'm like, I sit in front of a camera and talk to myself all the time. It's
Yeah.
fine.
That's true, actually. Yeah, because obviously going to events, doing interviews, doing podcasts like this, you can tell the difference with people who are new and have never done it before. Obviously, we always try and make everyone feel as welcome as possible and very casual. It's a very casual podcast, as you can probably tell.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's like people who have done either podcasts themselves or videos themselves or anything like that, or gone to lots of events. You can usually tell because they feel so much more relaxed with a microphone
Mhm.
and headphones and a video camera in their face. So
Right. Yeah, I'm used to it. So it's fine.
see, this is the reason why we do podcasts. It's like it was the step between blogging and video. It's like I don't think I can manage video. Nobody wants to see my face anyway. But oh, podcast. Yeah, I'll force them to listen to my really rough North English accent.
I love it. You have a voice for audiobooks. I Podcasting wasn't this is going to make me sound ancient. Podcasting wasn't really like a thing when I started my YouTube channel, or if it was like brand new. And then once podcasts blew up, I was like, "Damn it, that's what I should have done because then I wouldn't have to put on makeup. I wouldn't have to get cute. I wouldn't need the expensive lighting and cameras. I could just talk into a microphone. Damn it, but it wasn't around at the time, that much at least.
No. We only did it because it was the pandemic and it was like, well, let's do something. Yeah, we'll do something. We're bored. We'll do a podcast. And it just barreled from there. But yeah,
I
no, I have
love
to
it.
admit, we don't have to worry about lighting, makeup, or anything like that. It's just as long as the equipment works. And by the way, people, if it sounds a bit weird, it's because my equipment stopped working and my headphones weren't working. So we're recording this through the speaker, and hopefully it's not too terrible.
We just
Great.
gotta make it work.
It's very guerrilla style podcasting, rough around the edges. So let's talk process. What is your current writing process? Because I assume your process has changed through all these years and books you've written.
It changed after the first couple of books, but now it's been pretty consistent, which is where I will, let's say I don't write every day, first of all, because I just can't. I've got too many other things going on. But say it's a writing day, I will get up, pull up my laptop, and I will just start writing. And I don't read anything that I write. Like if I write a paragraph and I know it's total garbage, I won't go back and read it because if I do, I will fixate and try and fix it and like go over it again. And for me, drafting is like the hardest part of the writing process. For a lot of people, they feel like drafting is they're so fun and free and all the ideas pour out of them. And for me, that's kind of how I feel when I'm outlining and when I'm in the idea phase. And then while I'm drafting, I'm like, this is crap. Everything I'm writing is terrible. This is awful. So I'm like super nervous while I'm typing and I'm just feeling so neurotic about it. So while I'm drafting, I don't read anything. I just try to get the words out and I try to ignore the voice in my head that's like, this is terrible. What are you doing? Then the next day, I will read everything that I wrote the day before. So that's when I allow myself
Wow.
to read it and I do a really quick self edit. So if something is, too big to get it done that day, I'll highlight it. But I'll do like a little quick cleanup. And the reason I do it that way is because usually by the time I wait the next day, I'm less in my head about it. And I've got enough distance from the draft that when I read it, if I see a mistake, I'm able to laugh about it. I'm not like beating myself up over it. And usually when I read it, I realize, oh, this isn't nearly as bad as I thought it was. Like I was being hard on myself. You'd think I'd learn, but I still keep writing it like this is trash, even though the next day it's never as bad as I thought. So I will do a quick self edit, and then once I finished editing what I wrote the day before, I will continue writing and pouring out the trash on the page and being like, "Oh, this is terrible." And then the next day it's lather, rinse, and repeat. And I do that until the chapter is done. Once the chapter is done, I will do one more quick self edit and then move on. So I do have sort of an edit as I go method. The negative of this is that, I'll have friends who finish a first draft in a month. The quickest I've ever finished a first draft was 2 months. I will say that, but that was for a much shorter book than my fiction. That was for one of my nonfiction writing craft books. But normally my first drafts take longer than the average writer, but they're cleaner. So once I get to that actual self-editing phase where it's time to do nothing but edit, I usually have a lot less work than the average writer. I don't have to do any major rewrites or overhauls. I'm not having to take everything from one document and rewrite it onto another. It's all at this point, little things. So
Mm.
yeah, and then that's why a lot of people hate the editing phase. I love the editing phase because for me, my work is cleaner than the average writer at that point. And also because I was so neurotic during the draft, when I'm editing the work, I get to feel like, oh, it's okay, I'm going to make it good. Like this is now I finally get to see the story take shape. And so while I'm editing, that's when I start to really see the story shine. And it's like, oh, it's finally turning out the way I want it to turn out. So that's my
Oh.
personal process. It doesn't work for everyone, but I recommend it to anyone who's got a neurotic drafting brain like me.
Do you write linearly as well? Like,
Yes.
oh, see,
I've
that's
tried
where I don't get it. It's like, how can anyone just write from the start to the end? It seems crazy.
I've tried skipping around and I've always regretted it just because every time I've written out of order, because I'm a hardcore planner, but no one sticks 100% to their outline. Even someone like me, who I consider myself very much a planner, very much an outliner. Things like little things always change. And so if I write let's say I start with, I remember one book I wrote chapter 14 first because I was really excited about it. By the time I got to chapter 14, I had to rewrite the whole thing. I couldn't use anything from chapter 14. And it wasn't just the fact that plot points had changed, which, yes, some plot points had changed, but also the writer you are at the beginning is not going to be as talented of a writer as you are 6 months from now. So
Mm.
by the time I got to chapter 14, I was a better writer. So a lot of what I had in 14, had filter words and passive voice and mistakes. And I would have needed to rewrite it anyway because it just wasn't as well written. So I can't write out of order anymore. I have to write linearly.
Yeah.
Linearly?
Lily. Yeah. In order. That's it. In
There
order.
we go.
No, I've heard it's quite useful too, because I know I am very much one of those where I will write and edit, and I've had to really pull back on the reins to stop myself constantly editing as I write, because you just live in a spiral and you never get anywhere. And I've
Exactly.
heard, yeah, writing and then going back and starting the next day, reading through, editing, and then carrying on with the writing to give you that momentum.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I have heard a lot of people suggest that that's a good idea. I should probably actually try it sometime instead of going, "Ooh, good idea," and then instantly forgetting and carrying on in my spiral.
The
Um,
key is not to read it while you're writing it because that's when the spiral happens and it's like, "This is terrible. What are you doing?" But when I read it the next day, it gives me a little bit of a confidence boost because it's never as bad as I thought it was. It's not great, but it's not as bad as I
yeah,
as bad as I thought. And I was like, "Okay, I can do this."
it's like if you ever go back to like an older story you maybe have like am working on, you're like, wow, did I write that? That is really good. I don't
Right?
remember writing that. It's like so good. Doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's really nice.
Exactly.
Okay, so what has been the biggest learning curve in your writing career?
I'm trying to think. There are a few answers that I could give, but some are not tactful. I'm
Oh, they
trying.
sound the best. Use them.
Okay. I don't want. No. Okay.
No, go on. Whatever you feel comfortable saying.
Uh, okay, I'm just gonna say it. We're not gonna be tactful here. When you have a large platform, there are going to be people who sort of attach themselves for you to sort of go along for the ride and take some of the, climbers, clout chasers, and things
Yeah.
like that. And that's just a normal part of any kind of industry. Once you find some level of success, there are going to be people who try to get ahead in that way. I am all for networking, connections, making industry friends. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. I am
Mhm.
all for that, but there's a difference between that and a climber who's trying to skip the line and just kind of like use a person. They don't actually like you as a person. They're just trying to use you. Um, that's something that I experienced a few times, and it was always so shocking to me because I never thought I was like quote unquote big enough for that to happen. I'd be like, I'm just this autistic weirdo on YouTube. Like, I'm not famous. Like, why are people doing this to me? So, whenever it happened, I was always like shocked, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I thought this person was my friend. And I think the biggest learning curve for me was to understand that people don't see me the way that I see me, and to be to guard my peace and to be very very protective of my circle. It's okay, like I'm much at this point in my career, I'm very open to making acquaintances, but it takes a really really long time for me to welcome like a close friend or
Yeah.
confidant into the circle. Just because earlier in my career, like when my YouTube channel first blew up, I had so many negative experiences where I thought, oh, this person really likes me. And especially like I said, I'm autistic. Growing up, I was one of those people where it was really hard for me to make friends. And so here I am on YouTube and it's like, oh, they like me. They really like me. And then just learning like, oh, they just, were trying to get their own YouTube channel off the ground or something like that. So
Oh.
so it's more been like the the writing itself, that learning curve, I enjoy learning about writing. I enjoy improving my craft. So it's never been so much like a big learning curve. It's more like, oh, I learned a new grammar rule. How exciting. The big learning curve has been more like navigating the people in the industry. We all say things like the rising tide, lifts all ships. And we all want to, like if one writer does well, it can help other writers. Like I'm very much like that mindset. And I guess there's some understanding that not everyone in the industry feels the same way. There are writers who will see you as competition. There are writers who will,
Mm.
try to, I guess, for lack of a better word, like mooch off of you to like get ahead. And it's just sort of, I still want to help other writers. I still like mingling and networking and connecting with other people, but being more guarded about my peace and like my inner circle. That's something that it took a few bumps in the road to be like, okay, no more of that.
Yeah, I can see that. I think especially because, like as you said, you didn't feel that you were big enough, and it's almost like that kind of proved that you were. That people were like, "Oh yeah, someone to mooch off. I can go up the ladder really, really fast," and it's like, "Fucking no, you can't." But no, that must be quite horrible. That you think you've got friendships, you think you've got close connections and networks, and it just turns out that it's just a leech,
Yeah.
just and that, and it's like not, especially because you're like it's shown with your blog, with your oh my God YouTube channel. Brain fog just said. With your YouTube channel, I mean, almost all of your videos are about helping people, advising people, educating people, inspiring people. That's where it is. It comes from. It's all about helping other writers coming up. So you're already giving a lot of yourself with information. And if people ask you things in the comments, you've got questions, you then make videos of it. So you're listening to people, you're helping. So the idea that even with all that, someone's like, you know what? I deserve more. I deserve
Right.
time. I deserve your fame, and I'm going to hold on. And it's like that's actually really upsetting to know that people will do that to the point where it messes with your head to you thinking, oh wow, look, I've got some friends, I've got some people I can trust, and actually it's like the moment they don't need you, it's cut you through and they've gone.
Yeah.
which is
Exactly. See, you're just reading my mind because that's my thought process. Like, man, I made like 400 plus videos to help you get started. What more do you want? I
yeah.
remember I had one person, this person that I didn't become friends with them or anything like that, but they wanted me to split my YouTube channel with them, like that, so that they could, be on it with me. And I'm like, I don't even know you. And also, like, I did all the hard work.
Wow.
At that point, I had 100,000 subscribers. I'm like, I did all the hard work, and you're just gonna hop on. You're like, okay, let's split it. It's like I don't even know you, girl. So it's just, there's audacious people in every industry, and unfortunately, writers are no different. Not saying all writers are audacious. Obviously, I've met wonderful people in the industry, absolutely wonderful people, but I'm just a bit less enthusiastic. I'm a bit more cautious and like, okay, like, we could be acquaintances for a while. Let me feel you out here.
I think it's funny because it's literally what you do when people go, "Oh, I've got an idea. Why don't you write it and we'll split the profit?" And it's like, dude,
Right.
you're bringing nothing to the table, and why should we do all the work for you to get half the stuff? It's that sort of thing where it's like, yeah, let's share YouTube channel. Like,
Right.
wow, that is audacious. Bloody hell.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And you think writers of all people would get that because we hear that all the time. We hear like, "Oh, why don't you write this book for me? It's going to be a bestseller." It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, why don't you fuck yourself?
Oh no, that's crap.
Yeah.
It really just shows how many things you have to keep an eye on. Because I think there's a lot of writers like, oh my God, I want to be a bestseller. I want to be, the new number one. And if I'll be honest, I'm probably one of the few writers who's like, that would terrify me if I did so well that I was that well known. I'd be like, oh God, I don't think I could manage that. But I know a lot
Right.
of people, they want to be bestsellers, they want to be at the top of the charts, they want everyone to know their name. And it's like, that's great if that's what you want. But then the idea of like, I'm just going to leech on somebody else to get there. And it's like, does that mean
Mhm.
you have no talent? Are you not able to do it yourself?
I think so. Well, that the shady comment, but that was the case with the people that I knew. So, like, it's like people who couldn't rely on their talent to get ahead, and you read their work, and it's like, oh, this is why you needed me. Okay, I see.
I think you do get that with a lot, even with the simple things. Is like, because obviously I am not big, but I've had it where I have a blog and I share information and I do book reviews and all sorts of things. And I've had people come and they're like, "Oh, could you read my work? Could you read my manuscript? Can you give me a beta read? Can you give me a?" And it's like, yeah, if I've got time, I do that. And then I've had it where those same people have then just sent me their next manuscript to read, or then they've sent me, and it's like, whoa, you asked me to read 3 scenes. And
Right.
suddenly I've got like a 400,000 word manuscript that you're asking me to read for like in 2 weeks. And it's like, I haven't
Hmm.
got time. And then they get really shirty with you. And you're like,
Hmm.
I was doing you a favor. And you suddenly, I'm like, suddenly it's really bad. And it's like, wow. And then you're like blocked by them. And it's like, that's quite good. But at the same time, it's like, wow, how did it go from one thing to the other? I was
Right.
trying to be nice. And then suddenly if you give an inch, they really will take everything.
Hmm. Oh
Uh,
yeah, people have just, people that I don't know, never spoken to, will just email me their manuscript and be like, "Okay, let me know what you think." And I'm like,
no.
I just delete it. Like, what am I gonna do with this? And I remember one time, this was when, my channel was just taking off. So I was getting I was getting a lot of these requests and I was getting really, really annoyed. I just sent a woman back my rates. I was like, okay, here's my critique rates. And she just got so mad. She's like, wow, you must think you're something to be charging for this. And I'm like thinking, you're the one who thinks I'm something. You're the one who sent me your manuscript unprovoked and unrequested. I don't know who you are, and you sent me your manuscript, but I'm the audacious one for saying, "Okay, pay me and I'll read it." So, but yeah, she ended up blocking me, and that was, the trash taking itself out. But yeah, it's like people, they just, I help people online with my YouTube channel, and then they'll, just send me their manuscript and be like, "Okay, here you go. Help me some more." It's like,
I want to watch all your
sure.
videos. You just do it for me. You just read it and tell me all the things I've done wrong. It's like, no.
Right.
Jeez, that is crazy. The idea of just being like so open to like, here's my manuscript. Do it.
Right.
Wow.
Not no hello, no how are you?
No,
No, my name is.
straight away. This is my manuscript. It's like, I wonder
Mhm.
why nobody's coming back to you, agencies and everything. Is that how you go to agents? Here it is. Read it now.
Right. Like I will just have someone. I'll just get the email that Google Docs sends where they invite you to collaborate. I'll just get the Google Docs email and be like, Kyle has invited you to collaborate, and then it'll just have a little comment saying, let me know what you think. And it's like, I don't know you, Kyle.
Not even a
Go
please,
away.
thank you. The bare minimum isn't even hit. Oh my God.
Hmm.
That's jeez. If you could have done one thing different in your writing journey, what would it have been?
Doing a podcast instead of YouTube, having the foresight to know podcasting. No, honestly, like when I look at that question, that's just the first thing I think of, just because I know podcasting would have been easier than YouTube. Um, but nothing really. Like, obviously, I've made mistakes along the way. I've made there's been bumps in the road. But even the mistakes have gotten me to. I know it sounds so cheesy, but even the mistakes have gotten to where I am today. I'm pretty happy with sort of my path here and everything that I've learned along the way. I guess if there this is also this is just going to turn into a shady interview, but if there's one thing I could go back and tell younger Jenna what to do, is don't take advice from mansplainers. Because all the mistakes I made early in my career were because I got advice from men saying, well, this is how you do it. And they were all guys who aren't writers, and aren't successful authors. Like, one of them designed a website for a New York Times bestseller, and that made him an expert. So he's like, I designed so
Oh.
and so's website, so this is what you need to do. And all the mistakes that I made early on were because I took advice from people like that. So that would be the one thing I would change. Just don't take advice from mansplainers who don't know what they're doing. Just and that's part of the reason why I have my channel. Is it's like, okay, well, I'm an actual writer who is doing it in the industry. Here's my advice. Here's the mistakes I made so that you don't make them, and here's the stuff that I did that worked for me. And then there'll be mansplainers in the comments like, no, this isn't right. And it's like, well, do whatever you want. Like, I'm not the writing police. But yeah, that would be the one thing, is being more skeptical of who I took advice from early on in my career.
Yeah, yeah. I think especially if people are coming out towards you to say, I've got all this advice, you need to listen to me. It's like writers reaching out to other authors, politely using names, please and thank you, things like that. It makes a big difference than a,
Right.
a DM in a message going, I need your help now. Please don't do
Hmm.
that. But yeah,
Exactly.
it's like that's going. I've seen that where writers will reach out to authors who have done things that they want to do, and if you're polite and friendly and don't take the piss, they can be quite useful. I mean, the writing community as a whole, touch wood, mostly is kind of a nice, supportive community. But the idea of someone coming to you and just being like, "Here, you need to do all this. This is the best
Hmm.
way." It's oh god, that
Right.
just gets me angry.
And I will say, I receive emails all the time of writers asking for advice, and they're very polite, and they're like, "Hey, hello, Jenna. My name is Kyle. And I watch your YouTube channel. I just had a quick question about ISBNs." I respond. I answer them back if they're polite, and if it's something that I can actually answer in an email. Because sometimes the question is, "How do I write a book?" And it's like, like, come on. But like, if you are polite and you ask for advice from someone who's been doing it for a while, they will likely respond. I mean, Stephen King probably won't respond, but you know what I mean. It's all in how you broach the topic.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. I think it for me it always surprises me when you get people who will be like they'll ask advice and it's like, did you not go through the videos? You can they literally there's just a playlist of all that. And
Right.
it's like, or the FAQs on a website. It's like, go and check all that first
Right.
before you come. But yeah, and then if you are going to do it, at least be polite.
Hmm.
It's better. It's when you get like, hi, author. It's like, oh dear. Yep, there it is. Hi, author. I love your whatever. You're like, nah, I didn't even write that. You
Right.
just AI'd on it somewhere. Oh
Oh, I
no.
get tons of chat GPT emails, and I do not respond. It's like, we can tell, we know.
Yeah. Oh, right. 1 second. I'm gonna throw in an extra question before we get to
Cool.
the last question, because um I'm hoping it's gonna be really good, but you might be like, no, nothing. What I'm always doing this, I'm always throwing in extra questions, and then it's like someone's like, no, that's just no. It's like, so, so, what is the strangest thing you've ever had to research for a book?
Um, the str-
Make it good.
Oh, I just immediately knew what it was. But it's not so much that it was I mean, okay, fine. Nocturnal emissions.
No, no.
I don't remember why I had to research it, but I did. And and that there's nothing else to add to that.
No, I don't think I want to continue on with
You're
that
right.
question. Well, that I'll be honest, that was not what I expected you to say. Like, I thought it might be about like eye gouging or how long it takes to bleed out or anything.
I've researched that kind of stuff too. I've researched the how long it takes to bleed out. I've researched how to remove an arrow from someone's body, fighting maneuvers in ancient Rome and things like that. But I think the one that always pops to my head where I just remember I don't even remember why I was researching it, but it was for like a very brief scene, and I just remember like going into Wikipedia about it and being like, what is my life? Like, why am I Googling this? You know, and being very careful. Like, I wrote nocturnal emissions and not what we normally call it because I didn't want to get a bunch of porn, you know?
No, no. It's always hard when you're doing any form of research. It's like, right, what is the best word I can use that will not get me on a watch list or on a
Right.
porn site that I can't get off?
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
everyone's gonna be like, what's that scene? We need to find that scene. You get a book sales of everyone buying to try and find this scene that you're
Right. I like I said, I can't think that I don't think there's even been a scene where someone did that, but I think I know what scene it was for, but that he didn't, you know, emit nocturnally. He just got hard nocturnally. But I think I was considering that. I don't know. There's a sleepy time boner in one of my books, and I think I was considering emissions. I don't know, but but I researched that, and then it didn't make it into the book. So all that for nothing.
This is a first for the Mary Writer podcast. I have to admit, we've had nothing even close to this as a conversation on this podcast.
Well,
So, you first.
I'm proud to be the first. My shining moment.
Oh my gosh. Should not have added that question. My mistake. My mistake. Should not have added that question.
I'm sorry.
We're going to move on to safer ground, I hope. Okay. So, before we wrap up the interview, please can you share some more details with your upcoming release or a new whip if you want to talk about that instead? But I'm assuming it's probably going to be the new release that's coming out.
Yes, the third book in my dark fantasy romance series, the Saviors series, comes out on March 10th. It's the Saviors Army. I believe once this goes live, there will still be time to pre-order. And if you do pre-order, we've got pre-order gifts for everyone who pre-orders. So you can get the first 6 chapters to get a little sneak peek of what's going down before you receive the book. We do have a full colored map of all the realms of the Savior's Army. And we also got a sneak peek illustration of one of the scenes, a very, very romantic scene in the Savior's Army. So again, it's the third book in the Savior series. Definitely check it out. And if you want to learn how to write fantasy romance or romantasy, you can check out my nonfiction writing craft book, How to Write Romantasy. It's available at all major retailers, and it'll help you craft a lovely romantasy story that people will devour.
Nice. Just checking. The Savior's Army, is that the last book or is there more books coming in the series?
It is not the last book. The next book in the
Mm.
series will be The Savior's War. I haven't decided if that'll be the last book, but 75% chance it'll be the last book. So it depends on what happens while I'm writing. So,
This you and your planning. Oh, I'm
right.
not sure.
Not 100% sure, but 75% sure.
I am gonna sit in my jealousy a little bit because of how the fact you've already got like titles for your books, for the ones you haven't even thought about whether you're gonna write them, you know, the ones further down. It's like I am still struggling with my completed manuscript trying to find a title. So why is it everybody in the world can pick titles and I am still no the wiser? So
I think it's either my experience has been that you either know the title from the start or you are done and you're like, "What's the title? I don't know what to do." I've been in both places. It's never in between. It's either from the beginning or totally lost.
yeah, I've seen that. Like most of my friends who are writing, they're like, "Oh yeah, this is a series," and they've got like all the book series titles out, and they've not even written book one. And I'm like, "How are you doing that? How? I don't know how you're doing that. You're killing me right now." So I'm always obviously in the bad category of can't think of a title at all. And like they're like, "Oh, pick something from the book." Nope, nothing, no idea.
Right.
Nope, doesn't work. Okay, thank you so much for coming on and dealing with the technical issues and sharing your awesome insights. And I am sorry that Rachel wasn't here to meet you. If you're ever back on again, we'll make sure we can try and squeeze her in sometime.
Well, I had a blast. Thank you so much for having me here. It was
Oh no.
super fun.
Oh, we do try and make it fun. It's not always. Sometimes it's a bit weird, but obviously
Weird is
before
good.
that should be our slogan, really. Weird is good. It's
Yes.
fine. Before we let you go, I keep saying we. See, it's so ingrained that there's like me and Rachel, but Rachel's not here. Before I let you go, will you please tell your listeners more about yourself and where they can find you, and in case they've lived under a rock and don't know who you are, just share some deets.
Yeah, sure. The easiest place to find me is on YouTube, youtube.com/Jenna Moreci. That's JennaMoreci. You can also find me at jennamoreci.com. And I'm at Jenna Moreci at most social media places. The place where I'm actually most active is Instagram. I hold Q&As there regularly. So if you ever just want to shoot me a question, the easiest place to get in touch with me is Instagram. So follow me there. Yeah, and you can also find me at Facebook at author Jenna Moreci.
Thanks again for joining me on the podcast. Obviously, all Jenna's links will be in the description below, so do put a shout out in the comments. Remember, we do release new episodes every Wednesday. Next week, we're discussing what you should know about ISBNs. To ensure you don't miss it, hit the subscribe button on your way out. If you'd like to learn more about us, check out our website on themerwriterpodcast.podbean.com and also our coffee page for more content. Thanks for listening to the Merwriter Podcast, and we'll see you next week. This podcast is brought to you by Scraps of Paper. We have notes everywhere. The music titled Inspired is by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons 4.0.